Well, a rather somber morning today, and this morning we continue to pay tribute to Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa, who passed away on the 30th of September in Paris, France. Now, he was appointed as ambassador to France in December 2023 after serving in cabinet for 15 years in the portfolios of sports, arts and culture, as well as police and safety and security. In 1982, at the age of 15, Nathi Mthethwa became a member of the Klaarwater Youth Organisation based in KwaZulu-Natal. And then in 1990, he was one of the most influential leaders of the ANC Youth League in KZN. His body is expected to arrive at the OR Tambo International Airport today from Paris. And to help us continue paying tribute to Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa, we joined virtually now by Jeff Radebe, who was a cabinet colleague and, of course, a comrade of the late Nathi Mthethwa. Mr. Radebe, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Sakina, and all your viewers of Morning Live.
Let me just start by conveying my condolences and that of the Morning Live and SABC News team on the passing of one of your comrades.
Well, thank you for that. We have lost a very great comrade and a cabinet colleague, Nathi Mthethwa, a man dedicated his entire life for the freedom of all South Africans. So we are deeply hurt and morose about this tragic event that happened in Paris last week.
Mr. Radebe, KZN, of course, is something, one of the things that you and Nathi Mthethwa have in common as, a place where your political careers were entrenched. So when did you first meet Ambassador Mthethwa, and talk to us about how that relationship then developed?
Well, I first met Comrade Nathi in 1990, soon after I was released from Robben Island, when I was the chairperson of the ANC in Southern Natal, and he was one of the leading cadres of the ANC Youth League. But what is very memorable about Nathi Mthethwa, if you recall, Sakina, in 1990 and up until 1994, KwaZulu-Natal was characterized by deep violence amongst our people, communities being massacred. So he answered the call. As the head of the self-defense unit, we recruited him to be part of the self-defense units in KwaZulu-Natal in order to defend the communities across the length and breadth of KwaZulu-Natal. He was highly recommended because in the 80s, he was part of the underground operations that was led by Comrade Mac Maharaj and General Spiwe Nyanda, which is popularly known as Operation Vula. So he played a very pivotal role around Durban West in the areas of Claremont, Klaarwater, and Mirenhill. And to a certain extent, we used to go to Northern Natal in order to ensure that we defend our people, which we did successfully.
And as you say, his prominence in the ANC Youth League is one of the points that is noted in his career and his rise in the political ranks. He then joined the National Assembly in 2002, became a member of the ANC's National Executive Committee, as well as the National Working Committee, on which he served until December 2022. But his time in politics, again, is more than just what we came to know about him in the upper structures of the ANC and, of course, within cabinet. There's also his work within the movements, trade union movements in the 1980s, the 90s, and as you pointed out, during a very volatile period in KZN.
Yes, indeed. I continued to work with him also in the ANC, as you'll recall, Sakina. For many years, I was the head of ANC policy, and Comrade Nathi was involved in political education, and he liked this subject of strategy and tactics of the ANC. So our paths have always crossed with Comrade Nathi. I do not recall properly the period when he was a trade unionist with FAU, but I do know from comrades of COSATU who worked with him that he was a very diligent young man at the time. But as a leading member of the Youth League under the leadership of both Peter Mukaba, Malusi Kigaba, and Philem Balula, he distinguished himself very well as an active member of the NEC, of the Youth League, and eventually, when he was elected to the National Executive Committee of the ANC in 2007, where I worked very closely with him as head of policy, and he was in political education.
As a cabinet colleague, how would you describe Unyambose and his professional acumen, Mr. Radebe?
Well, I worked with him in cabinet in two capacities. At the time, he was a minister of police, I was a minister of justice, and I was also the chairperson of the security cluster. So I was leading all the colleagues in the JCPS cluster, and we worked extremely well with him. And later, when he was a minister of sports and culture, I was in the presidency. We worked together to bring the mortal remains of our stalwarts and heroes, Moses Kotane and J.B. Marks. It is very ironic that this afternoon we'll be receiving the mortal remains of Comrade Nathi here at King Shaka International Airport around about 3 p.m., a duty that he executed with distinction when he was a Minister of Arts and Culture.
And I suppose, like everybody, legacies are contested. And with what's happening in the country at the moment with the Madlanga Commission, the ad hoc commission, and lots of talk about Nyambose, his role during his leadership tenure. How would you like South Africans to basically deal with what is happening currently in the contemporary space with this unfortunate event of his passing?
Well, I think let's remember him about the good things that he did, both as a young man in the Youth League and also his contribution to South African society when we're building a new democratic society. And of course, no man is infallible. He also had his own weaknesses, but by and large, I think he executed his duty and responsibility with high honors.
And just before I let you go, Mr. Radebe, reading some reports about the KZN provincial team and the fact that there may be some unhappiness about the provincial unity that is currently underway. Is there any comment regarding that? Is the ANC in KZN currently contemplating leaving the government of provincial unity?
Well, as the ANC, we are led by the National Executive Committee. We'll recall that last year, the ANC entered into coalition arrangements with a variety of parties based on the statement of intent that the majority party that has gone more votes is the one that must constitute and invite other parties. So we are working under that principle that is stated in the statement of intent. There are challenges that we have experienced. For an example, we are dealing with those matters. We shall be having a meeting with the IFP. I have already spoken with the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Premier and told that we as ANC and IFP we need to sit down so that we can evaluate what has happened. But we as the ANC, we want to make sure that the letter and the spirit of the statement of intent is applicable in all areas. I believe that we can be able to overcome the hurdles that has come about by the unilateral decision of one MEC called Thulasizwe Buthelezi, who is running roughshod over and targeting mainly ANC-led municipality. But today is not the time to talk about that because we're still mourning our Comrade Nathi. Next week, we shall be proceeding with all those strategic meetings to resolve these matters.
Appreciate the comment and the time. And once again, condolences, Mr. Radebe, as we await the arrival of the remains of Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa. And that was Jeff Radebe, Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa's comrade and former cabinet colleague, paying tribute to him and also talking about his political career.